Hey everybody, this one's a little different. I'm recording Friday at 12:30, and the reason I'm doing that is I filmed a report Wednesday night with solid news from DFO that there was going to be an opening for the Fraser, both the freshwater portion and the tidal portion for pink salmon. We were super pumped, really excited. Last night at dark 30, we got a notification that they were changing the opening and there needed to be an emergency meeting. That meeting just finished. Jay gave me a call and read me through what's going on. So you guys are going to watch the report next. I'm just going to hit play on it, and there's one change on it. They're not going to open the freshwater portion Hope to Mission Bridge where they were planning. Now, it's probably directly due to sockeye and pink ratios of how many sockeye are up there, and probably due to the concern of bottom bouncing. I'm going to talk about bottom bouncing in the report that you're going to see, but unfortunately we are not going to be able to target pinks above Mission Bridge as it stands right now. They are going to be looking at those ratios and probably coming with further announcements. Links down in the description always to the written. We're going to get the exact regulations out in there, but sit back and enjoy a much more happy, positive Matthew 2 days ago when we were expecting things were all good. But the long story of it is we will be able to fish the tidal portion of the Fraser for pinks, and it's perfectly on time. All right, let's get into it. Hey folks, Matt Sharp here with another Pacific Angler Friday Fishing Report. We're filming for the back end of August. If it's nowhere near the back end of August, click up here. This is a link to all the Friday Fishing Reports. We do it most weeks, so I should have something more up to date for you. It is a big week in fishing around Vancouver. Big week for a couple reasons, but the first one that I don't get to say very often is DFO actually nailed it. We got our hats off to them this week. They saw amazing numbers. I've been talking about those over the last couple of reports when it comes to pinks. And they mobilized, and they're going to get us a pink opening on the Fraser River. This is something I thought would not happen because of how slow bureaucracy sometimes turns, but they've got it put together. I've got details on it. You guys actually should be seeing it announced today. This is sort of early. I'm filming Thursday. I'm gonna go over how you wanna target these fish. It's such a cool fishery, such an easy fishery to get the whole family involved in. And then I've got some things you need to consider when it comes to this fishery. DFO is putting some trust in us that we're not going to be bottom bouncing and doing certain techniques that will endanger stocks of concern and probably close down this fishery. So I wanted to talk about that. We're going to go over all the techniques. We're going to go over all the ways to do it right off the hop in the report. Now, the second part of it, pinks are kicking butt right now in the ocean. We're getting great reports, beach anglers and boat anglers. We had this one sent in, awesome report. I almost cut and pasted it right into the written version of the report. This young man was out up Howe Sound, found his first pinks on the fly, which is super cool. It's a really fun fishery. Now, we're also going to talk a little bit about Chinook fishing because September 1 is the big opening. We're not there yet, but from everything we've heard, we're expecting it to be gangbuster in the first week to 2 weeks of September. And then it's sort of up to the fishing gods whether those fish shoot up the river or if more are coming or if they stage out there. But if you're thinking about getting out saltwater Chinook fishing this year, all the indicators we have seen are that it's going to be an awesome, awesome season. All right, I got two more. It's the Pink Pam's 10th year anniversary. Andre brought this to my attention. I thought it was fun. If you guys don't know what the Pink Pam is, it's probably one of the best ocean pink patterns. It's got a glow-in-the-dark body, really, really small little wings, super simple pattern, but hyper effective. I've seen it outfish a dozen different other pink patterns 10 to 1 when out either in my boat chasing them up Howe Sound or off the beach. Andre's got a bunch of cool patterns. I'm going to link them up here if you guys want to geek out on some pink patterns. Look at the Pink Pam, look at a couple of the other ones he has, and we've got in stock a bunch for the Fraser, which are a little bushier, a little bit more involved so they can be seen in the dirty water, as well as the Squamish. Now, we'll talk about Squamish as well, but let's kick gears. It feels almost like fall is around the corner, but I know some folks might want to consider getting out of the city or have something to look forward to. I can finally talk about my trip to Christmas Island. I'm going to Christmas Island this February. I've been trying to go for the last 4 years. It's been pandemic, airports, pandemic, and runways that have sort of blocked us from getting there. But if you've ever wanted to do a warm water trip or you love warm water fishing like I do, I think it's one of the coolest destinations close to Vancouver relatively where we can go. Now, I'm going to talk about that at the back end. If anyone's interested, stay tuned for that. I've got spots on my trip if anyone wants to travel with me for fly fishing, Christmas Island, super cool. All right. As always, you want to see more fishing reports like this, consider hitting the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's get into it. All right, everybody. Cheers to Friday. Thanks for tuning in with me. Exciting news, like I said. I expect, as you guys are watching this on Friday, that an announcement will be coming out from DFO about the Fraser River opening both the lower and the upper sections. Now, I'm going to leave the details out until that comes out. I'm going to try to link it down below. If it's not linked down below, check out our Instagram, check out the written version of the report. We should have more details there because you do need to read those regulations, not just take my word for it. But we do know that an announcement is coming and both areas are going to be open. This is a super cool fishery. All you need is a spinning rod, medium heavy, 8 foot, 7 foot, somewhere in that range, 30 pound, 20, 30, 40 pound braids, something out there, or heck, mono works great. Spinners, spoons, the best spoons, so the ones that I like are the megawatts, but with the chartreuse lightning bolt on them. I don't love the white one. The white one works, but the chartreuse one just seems to get them. I also love crocs. I also love twitching jigs. Those have done really well in previous years where it's been open. And my favorite go-to is actually a spin and glow. Pink one, mylar wing, white wing, with a small chunk of pencil lead off of a drop. So if you snag the bottom, you can just pop it off and not lose all the gear. But it allows you to really slowly move through some of those sort of side eddies and slow tanky parts of the lower Fraser. Hyper effective. Now in gear, we got to talk about it because it was stated in the meetings that were being held to make this all happen, that if DFO sees recreational anglers actively bottom bouncing, they will close this fishery. And that was stated before the opening. So in previous years, we've seen folks sort of trickle in and start bottom bouncing like they might on a normal sockeye year. And yes, they're going to hook the odd pink that way, but they are going to hook a lot of other species, specifically sockeye and stocks of concern that they're not allowed to target. This year, we can't let that happen. So if you see anyone or you hear anyone doing, just let them know that will close the entire fishery. And they've set a precedent of acting quite quickly, specifically with the Vedder closures. So we can't let that happen. Tell anyone that's thinking about getting out bar fishing that we want to see spinners, spoons, twitching jigs. The spin and glow rig, slowly reeled in slack water. It's not a bottom bouncing rig, is effective. But when you see the bouncing betties break out in that sort of walking speed water with a long leader and a piece of wool, that will get the fishery shut down. Just wanted to get that out there, make sure anyone knows it, and hopefully we will enjoy this fishery and sort of prove that DFO, that when they open a fishery like that, we can be trusted as an angling group to appreciate and use it respectfully. Okay, let's talk beaches, let's talk ocean, because that's actually where the pink fishing is good right now. It's not going to be good in the Fraser yet. Don't run out to the Fraser. We don't think the numbers are there yet. We're expecting it sort of next week, realistically first week in September when you look at the modeling for where those fish are coming in. But the beaches have finally picked up. Now they're late, but we're hearing reports up Howe Sound, up Indian Arm. That's where the pink Pam is going to come in. That's a wicked pattern for there. Buzz bombs, small, medium sized. Twitching jigs are great out in the ocean, but we're finally hearing really good reports. So if you're thinking about Kate's Park, Ambleside, Indian Arm, up to Howe Sound, that area is well worth looking at. Okay, that's the ocean fishing. Now, Squamish, still mixed reports. Guys are getting them. Jeremy went out, he got a bunch. It's still a little bit dirty water, but it is clearing up, so that is good. It is well worth a trip as well. Lastly, we'll talk about Vedder. The pinks are not going to be in the Vedder yet. They're sort of like September 10, maybe even 20 range, depending on the year. And as we know, my predictions have been a little bit off when we look at historicals. But it's in that transition time. We'll probably next week talk a little bit more about the salmon run that is going to be arriving in good numbers when it comes to the Chilliwack. But we're in that transition. The water is very low. Might be worth a scouting trip, but not really prime time. I'd go check out the Fraser if you're thinking about heading out next week. All right, last, let's talk about September 1 opening, and that's for Chinook. And so we're seeing really good indicators that there are really good numbers of Chinook coming down, both from boats doing genetic studies out at the mouth of the Fraser and from the numbers that we've been looking at in the salmon panels. We're trying to see if DFO can move on good numbers with coho and Chinook like they have on pinks. And that would be amazing because I do believe there's some opportunities when we look at the predicted numbers there. But they are going to open it on the 1st of September, and it should be excellent down at the mouth for Chinook. All right, last but not least, I do want to talk about my happy place, which is not here. It's Christmas Island. And it's a trip that I got canceled on a bunch. For those who know me, who are actually many of you on the trip with me, we got nailed. We were literally the first group closed when they announced the pandemic and everything got funky. And then Christmas Island was actually the first country to close and literally one of the last countries to be able to open up its borders just because of how remote it is. They then also had airport issues and runway issues to make things worse. And so long story short is they're finally open now after 4 years of being closed. And we've got a trip booked that I'm hosting in the first week in February. It just straddles over top actually my birthday in January, but just over the February timeframe. And I've got a number of guys in on it, but I've got some space open. And it's one that if you love fly fishing, it's not a beginner fly fishing trip. It's pretty varsity level, but it's super fun and it will take your fly fishing to the next level, no matter what level you're at when it comes to warm water fishing. Targeting bonefish, lots of them. GTs, they're the holy grail. Triggerfish, my personal favorite. Milkfish, sailfish, tuna. We feast on tuna. If you're a tuna lover, it is definitely the trip for you. But reach out. It's, like I said, reasonably priced, about $5,000. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's, when the scale of going to crazy places to fish, it's pretty darn good. And yeah, I'd love to have you on board if anyone's interested. I'll put the email up here and pop me an email. I can send you the package, all the details, and we can start fleshing it out to see if the trip fits what you're looking for. All right, that's everything I've got for you. Check out some Andre's flies up here. And as always, if you want to see more reports like this, consider hitting the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll catch you in 2 weeks.